Got a really unique property here listed at Wilco Land. My name's Miles McLaughlin. Coming at you with 34 acres. This is lakefront, actually on two sides of the property. It's really cool. I'm going to pull it up on Google Earth just to give you an idea what I'm talking about. So just kicking off the video, what we do here at Wilco Land is we buy and sell vacant, undeveloped property. So a lot of properties similar to this, we like to classify it as unique and epic land investments. So you can see we've got a ton of shoreline on the west side of the property and a ton of shoreline on the east side of the property. This is up at Twin Lakes. So this is East Twin Lake. This is Twin Lakes Drive. If you're familiar with the area, this is going to be just west of Duluth, Minnesota. So I've got it pulled up on a map to give you an idea where we're looking. So here's Duluth, head just west, and you're going to run into these two lakes right here. So you might have some street views out here. Like, for example, you can get on street views and take a peek at what it looks like out here, just looking through here. So really what like the target audience for a property like this is going to be hunting, camping, recreation, maybe building some sort of off-grid cabin, a place to fish, place to do your ice fishing, your summer fishing, things like that. The property does have deeded access to it as well. So you have two options for access. You can either access it via the waterfront, or there is deeded access as well. So in this video, I'll cover some of those FAQs, like how can I go view the property? Where is the deeded access and things like that too. So just clicking through the photos, there are a lot of wetlands in the property. It's not all wet. There is high ground too. So you can see there's a lot of wetlands, but you're going to be sitting with some dry ground too. So I'll pull that up and I'll kind of identify where all that is. And then you can see for yourself too. So just looking at satellite imagery, a lot of the high ground is going to be down here in this section of the property. There's like a little creek that runs through here too. So some of this will be usable, some of it won't. You can even kind of tell by satellite imagery, and even some of the aerial photos, some of it's swampy, but this looks to be some high ground over here and up here as well. But really this is dry and off any wetlands report. So like if I did St. Louis, county parcel search, I can search this APN. I'll show you where the wetlands are here in a second. So we'll get to this at the end of the video. I'll show you exactly where the wetlands are on the property and where the dry ground is. But, first and foremost, I want to show you where access is. So the previous owner had worked with a neighbor and established an access route right here on this property. So there's a 12-foot easement off lot 18, block 2. So you've got a home on this property or a cabin. You go just beyond that, and you've got right down here is an easement to access the property, which, brings you to the high ground of the property. So, when we talk about maybe an off-grid cabin, things like that, that's potentially possible, right? Because that's where that easement brings you to. I do have it pulled up on Onyx Maps as well, just showing you the property. I have it identified here. This almost shows the wetlands even better. You can see this is really wet right here. This, I believe, is where that easement is. Right here on this property. Let's double check. I think I can look at ownership report here. Let's double check with some names and just see where it's at. So this is going to be Salo. So north of that one. Yep. So it's going to be actually on this one. So the easement comes through like right here on this Robertson or Peterson Robbie trust property, right? And it shoots you out right here. You can tell by the coloration of the trees, this is all your high ground and your dry ground right there. So that's a pretty big pocket. I can even measure that out for you. So on this property, we're looking at roughly, let's just say it's about 1.5 acres of high ground there. If you made it a little bit more like that, about, like I said, 1.5 acres of dry ground. And that doesn't show up as wetlands on St. Louis County Parcel Viewer either. So keep that in mind. Looking at the vegetation and whatnot, for this specific property that we're selling, this is clearly wet, right? Like this whole section is super wet. It's woody wetlands, right? As we come over here, like just based on the vegetation, this looks higher and drier. Some of this looks higher and drier based on the vegetation. Again, up here, it looks higher and drier too, just going around the property like that. Even over here looks fairly usable, in terms of hunting. We sell a lot of properties that have a lot of wetlands. If you're from Minnesota, that exists all over the place, are these wetlands on properties. Like I said, again, the target audience, maybe you put some sort of cabin in right here on the property. Maybe it's just a yurt or like a shed. You keep your snowmobiles, you keep your ice fishing gear, you put up a deer stand on the property, right? So This could be a pretty cool like winter usage property. Like maybe it is that type of off-grid cabin or a yurt with a wood burning stove. You come out here and ice fish and shoot, and stuff during the winter and snowmobile. Like that's a pretty cool idea for the property. So this is definitely geared towards a recreational land investment, and the price is going to reflect that, right? So that's really what we're looking at, right? We've got this easement here. I even think there's a trail to get back to the property from that easement. You'll have to go check it out yourself. We're buying and selling all of these properties sight unseen. So we do expect our customers to do their own due diligence, go visit the property if that's what you need to do and things like that. So again, that easement is going to run along here, shoot you out right here at the tip of some of that high ground and get you over to a really usable area on the property, which is going to be down here. An alternative, right, is going to be, water access, accessing these lakes from a public access point. Here's an access point on the west side, West Twin Lake water access site. So you can come enter the west side of the property. And then I'm not sure if there's an access site, this actually might get you down there, but it looks like private land ownership. Somebody's got some private property on the west side or on the east side of the lake. So let's keep talking about this property. We talked about target audience, hunting, camping, recreation. I talked about the easement there. I do have some good photos that the photographer, went through on this property. So we can see all that. I think I've clicked through a lot of them. You can see they were parked over there. There is some sort of trail that gets back there. I do want to show you where the wetlands are just to give you guys an idea. I'll look up the parcel ID and show you how to do that just to give you an idea of what that looks like. So we'll copy that in there if we can. 535-0010. And it wants to see 03710. So we'll look up this property and we can see what the wetlands look like. We'll view it on a map. And what that map will show us is, I agree, okay. It's going to show us some wetlands. We're going to have to go through filters here. And we'll go to like environmental. And okay, agree. So we can see what we're working with here. So this is bog. It's identified there. This is shrub, swamp. And then this whole area down here is going to be that. This is wooded swamp. So this is actually different too. So this easement comes right through here. You kind of touch a little bit of wooded swamp, but in reality, these are just GIS maps. These aren't perfect. Getting like a wetlands person out there, or even just going to look at it yourself to really identify, is this actually wet on the tip of this? These maps aren't perfect. There's disclaimers out there saying, hey, these are just overlays. These are general maps we have around the country, around the state, showing you where we think wetlands are, but it's not perfect by any means. So keep that in mind. I can even draw, for example, or measure like a shape and look at the dry ground too here. So like, let's just say I started there and we're just going to get an approximation again, right? And we can see that's about a half an acre of area right there. That's where you're probably going to put an off-grid cabin, a yurt, something of that nature. So that's this property in a nutshell. Thanks for tuning in to my video. Again, I have other properties in Minnesota on the website. We've got a 40 acre up by Voyageurs National Park. We do buy and sell up in northern Minnesota, really all over the country. As I mentioned, our business is more self-service. We do expect our buyers to do their own due diligence. That leads me into the final part of this. Just like every video I make, this is a disclaimer. This isn't real estate advice. This isn't legal advice. I'm simply sharing what I know about the property with our customers, and then asking our customers to obviously verify that information and do some of their own due diligence on their own. So if you want to have a high level conversation about this land with me, give me a call. I'm available here at 605-250-1256. Thanks for tuning in.